the Spartan Nurse Podcast. We're your hosts, Dr. Mike Martel
and Dr. Crista Reeves.
Today we're sitting down with Desiree Love. Desiree, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me. It feels such an honor to be here.
So could you please start off by just telling us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, so I'm 27 years old. I'm an identical twin. I was born first, and actually, fun fact, I was born natural. My sister was born C-section.
Oh.
Yeah, so that's really rare for twins. Now I live in Grand Rapids, and I work at Butterworth Hospital. I work on a med-surg unit, and I love it so much. Before that, I was a tech at a hospital in my hometown on a med-surg unit. So when I wanted to start my career in nursing, I just wanted to go into med-surg because I already had that comfort, especially as starting out as a new grad. I just felt that that was just like the easiest transition for me. And then an interesting fact about me is I was born with a rare genetic condition called TAR syndrome. It's called thrombocytopenia absent radius. So basically, when you are born with low platelet levels, and a lot of bleeding occurs like during the first couple of years of life, and a lot of that can occur in the brain, and you also have like cardiac defects. There's nobody in my family that has it, but my parents were both carriers of the gene mutation.
Oh.
So that's why my sister and I both have it. Also, there's a radius bone missing in both arms. So that's why my sister and I had surgery when we were younger. Once babies survive the first 2 years of life, they go on to have normal life expectancy, normal intellectual development. So it really all just depends on like how babies develop and also how they go into like after the first couple of years of life. So it's not all the same.
So it's pretty amazing that both you and your twins survived.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. It's a
Wow.
miracle.
Wow, absolutely.
And where did you go for nursing school?
Michigan State
University.
You did? Well, I first started out my college journey at Hope College. So I took a couple of nursing courses there, but I'll get into that a little later.
All right. Well, take me back to those early days. And what first inspired you to become a nurse?
Yeah, so there are a few things. So the first person that comes to my mind is my older sister. She passed away at the age of 24, and I was 12 years old. And for most of my life that I can remember, she was very sick for most of her life. She had a kidney transplant at age 16. She eventually was on home dialysis. So it was just a lot of caring, and I remember her being a patient at U of M Hospital in Ann Arbor. And she was going to nursing school for a little bit at a community college, but she ended up never being able to finish because of her health. And it was actually like such the Lord's timing that I started nursing school, because I started nursing school at the age of 24.
Oh.
And she passed away at age 24. So for me, it just felt so sentimental, and the timing was just perfect for me.
Right.
Another thing is just like my own experience at a children's hospital. So from age 6 months to about age 13 or 14, both my sister and I were patients at the Shriners Children's Hospital in Chicago. So every single year, my family and I would have to travel there. We went there for like physical therapy, OT, surgery, things of that sort for our own development. And I actually had a patient back in November, and I told him that I used to be a patient there, and he actually donates to that specific hospital.
Oh.
Which it was just so cool. And I always thought about like going back there to that hospital at some point. But he like told me that night when I was working that I should go back and like tour and just like meet everybody. And so that after that shift, that was confirmation for me. So I like emailed somebody, got connected with a couple of people, and actually in February of this year, I got to go back there and tour. And it was just so amazing. Like the memories sparked back again. And I actually got a tour from a nurse that actually cared for me all those years ago.
Oh my God.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So it was like more than a decade later that I got to go back, and it was just an amazing experience overall.
Yeah. Wow, it's amazing that you had those experiences, and you saw how those nurses touched your life, and then now you're out there impacting all these patients' lives as a nurse. That's really great. That's awesome. So your journey to nursing, hasn't been easy. What helped you keep you going mentally, emotionally, and spiritually throughout that journey? Was there like a specific turning point?
Yeah, so I first went to Hope College in Holland, Michigan for my undergrad. In my first 2 years, my freshman and sophomore year, I was taking nursing prereq courses. I kind of had difficulty with those courses, like trying to understand the content. It was pretty difficult for me. And then going into spring semester my sophomore year, that was like a turning point for me. So I had 2 nursing professors at the time. One of them I met with after class a couple of times. She noticed a behavior change in me in class because I struggled with severe like anxiety, depression my spring semester, my sophomore year. I was still trying to get into nursing school at that point, and my grades were just slipping away. Mm-hmm. And I remember when midterm grades came out, she sent me an email, and she told me, hey, like, I just want to let you know that you are currently failing this course. And for me, I was so devastated because I knew that I was struggling, but I just like
confirmation.
Yes, I just like didn't want it to be real.
Right.
Yeah. And I've always been like such a good student, and I just felt like I was letting myself down, that I was like really struggling. Mm-hmm. And so a few weeks later, she met with me after class one day, and she kind of asked me what was going on. And she ended up praying for me at the end of the conversation. And then the rest of the semester, she just kept checking up on me. She kept telling me in an email that she was praying for me. And it just meant so much at the time. And then she ended up guiding me to see a campus counselor, which I was hesitant at first because I didn't think that I needed like professional help. And I was trying to hide it from my friends. I knew that at the time, like, I was comparing myself to a lot of my classmates, thinking like, why are they like understanding the content and not me? Mm-hmm. And I just felt like, again, like I was letting myself down. Or I was also like not really eating as much. I still like went to class and did my homework, but I wasn't really motivated enough to do my homework. And that's just like not me as a person and a student. And obviously, like, I didn't realize just like the amount of depression that I had over me. And so when I went to the counselor, I took like a test, and at the end of it, I saw that like my anxiety and my depression scores were like super high. And that just like, I was like, wow, maybe I really do like need this professional help. Mm-hmm. And so like the rest of my college journey there, I ended up seeing the counselor just time and time again. And then my junior year, actually, it was just so lonely for me to start my junior year because all of my other friends I had classes with the last 2 years were moving on into the nursing program, and I just was in like a stuck place because I didn't know what to major in, didn't know like what life was going to be like for me at Hope College. And I ended up majoring in psychology. One, I had no interest in doing psychology at all, but it was actually like such a blessing in disguise because the more psychology classes I took, the more I understood how my brain processes information to then be able to like do those harder classes and to do them well. Mm-hmm. And so I also went to like the Academic Success Center is what Hope College calls it. And I ended up getting a tutor for one of my classes. I ended up getting a peer academic coach. And I also ended up getting resources like having extended time on my tests, testing in a separate room, and being able to audio record lectures in class. And for me, like, that was such like a game changer that I didn't realize that I actually needed in order to be successful as a student. Once I graduated, I ended up taking a couple of courses at a time to go back into those prereq classes because I knew that like I was in a much better place mentally, spiritually, emotionally. And then once I applied to MSU, like nursing, I ended up getting rejected the first time, which I honestly still was obviously devastated because I had waited like 3 years at this point to try to get into nursing school. And I remember meeting with someone on the admissions team, but he told me the reason why I was rejected was because of my previous grades my freshman and sophomore year. And so once I learned about that, then he told me about like the academic restart policy that you guys have. And for anybody that doesn't know, it's basically where you, in order to be eligible, you have to take at least 12 credits after you graduate and then they will disregard your previous grades and only count those 12 credits forward into your GPA. Once I was told that, like, I just felt so confident that this was where I was meant to be. I waited a whole nother year, and I applied, and obviously I got accepted. And at that point, it was just amazing. And, like, wow. It just felt like all of my hard work paid off. It just felt like the years of waiting, like, really paid off.
Talk to me a little bit more about, you know, with your TAR syndrome. How did you overcome those barriers?
Yeah. So one thing was a step stool, which I did bring to clinical a lot of the time. Also, one of my preceptors, she also helped me a lot with, like, figuring out what tricks and tips for me in order to be successful. One of those was, like, carrying around scissors so that when antibiotics come in a syringe, like, those caps, like, sometimes are, like, really hard to open. And so having, like, the grips on the scissors to just twist it and open it, like, that is, like, super helpful for me, too.
So, you know, many nursing students, you shared a little bit about, like, anxiety and things around academics. Many nursing students struggle with that. Yeah. Is there advice that you would give somebody that, you know, based on your experience at MSU, what you might give somebody if maybe they're experiencing some anxiety as well?
Yeah. So for me, anxiety was something that I did struggle with a lot when I was at Hope College. And I knew that was, like, really affecting my grades. And then coming into nursing school, I really had to shift my perspective. I remember, like, 2 months before the program started, I made a discipline to myself that I wasn't going to get on social media because I really wanted to really be focused on my academics, and I didn't want to get on social media until all of my homework was done for the day.
Oh, does everyone hear that?
Yeah, we might need to repeat that one. Yeah.
Homework first.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so, because I struggled before, like I knew for me, like, I really need to be disciplined.
Right, yeah. Some people can handle that. Some people cannot. Yep, yes. 100%.
Yes.
So if we talk about burnout, you know, burnout's a hot topic in nursing. We know a lot of new nurses leave the bedside because they have burnout.
Yeah.
What kind of things have you put into place so that you can prevent burnout in your own role as a nurse?
Community is just a huge thing. Also, like, being active was also, like, a huge thing to avoid burnout in such a rigorous program too. I still, like, sometimes go on walks, and I, like, listen to worship music as I'm going on walks, or, like, I'll go to a coffee shop by myself and I will just, like, journal, or I'll go to the beach and watch the sunset and just, like, journal and listen to worship music. And
this is sounding nice.
The
beach.
The beach.
Yes, it's so peaceful after, like, a night shift, just, like, going to the beach, watching the sunset, just, like, seeing, like, a beautiful creation. Like, that's one thing I love doing in the summertime after a night shift, especially one that's, like, a really hard shift, and just trying to get my mind off of it. So, like, all of those things are super helpful.
So tell me about reflecting back, if you can think about, man, what were some things I wish I would have known going into my first nursing job? What would they be?
One thing I think would be, like, actually, like, going into the hospital. Because, like, starting my job, like, I didn't know where, like, literally anything was. I've never stepped foot into that hospital at all, aside from just, like, my interview, because I'm not from that area. So when I started, like, I was super nervous. I was like, where am I going? And I also didn't know that I was going to be floated a lot too, soon after orientation. So I was like, oh my gosh, like, I don't know where different units are and things like that. So that's one thing that I wish I learned.
Right. So asking some key questions,
Absolutely.
like how often do you get floated to what kind of units?
I always, you know, when I was managing the ER for a bit, I would get a lot of people applying that would, you know, we'd be interviewing and they wouldn't ask any questions. And those are some good questions that they probably should have asked, right? So asking questions of your organization is a really good thing, especially if you're wanting to work there. You got to know. So that's awesome.
And I also should have known for myself too that, like, if I don't know, like, where I'm going, I should go at least, like, a day or so beforehand and just, like, figure it out.
Because that can really add to the stress too, right? Of a new job.
Now you know.
Yeah.
Now you know, right? You learn, and now hopefully those listening can learn from you.
Yeah.
So can you share maybe a memorable patient interaction that affirmed exactly where you're meant to be in your career?
I remember one night when I was working, one of the charge nurses had a patient, and she had mentioned that she was a Christian, the patient did. And the charge nurse at some point went up to me during the night, and she was like, hey, like, I have somebody that I want you to meet. And she was telling me a little bit about the patient. Mind you, going into this patient interaction, I had no idea, like, why the patient was here, her health history, anything like that.
All the things we want to know.
Right?
Yep.
Yeah. She just specifically wanted me to go in there and just talk about Jesus and just, like, talk about the Lord with her. It was just so amazing, just that interaction, and it actually changed, like, the outlook of my night that night when I was working. Mm-hmm. And so a few weeks later goes by, and she's still there. So I come and check up on her, even though I was never assigned to her. I come and check up on her every now and then. And then a month later, she's still there. So one night I was getting ready for work, and I looked over at my bookshelf, and I noticed that I had 2 copies of the same devotional. Coincidentally, when I went to work that night, I actually was assigned to a patient right next to her room. And so I was going into this room, doing meds and all that stuff, and when I walked out, I told her, I was like, hey, don't go to sleep yet. I have something for you, because I wanted to give it to her before she fell asleep that night. So I grabbed it, hid it behind my back as I was, like, walking in, and I was like, hey, like, I have something for you. So I pulled it behind my back, and like, her reaction was just so priceless.
And can I just use this opportunity to say, how many Daisy Awards have you won?
Beat me to it, Crista.
6.
6
Wow.
Daisy Awards.
Nominations.
Not awards.
Wow, but still 6 nominations. What is a Daisy nomination,
Yeah.
and
How do you get nominated?
How do you get it?
Yeah, so basically, a patient, like, if you have an interaction with a patient that they feel, that the patient feels like you go above and beyond, then a patient can either, there's like a QR code, at least in the hospital that I work at, there's a QR code in the room that they can scan to fill out the form, or if they ask for a physical copy of, like, the form, I can, like, bring it to the patient. Most of the Daisy nominations that I've had is because of the connection that I've had with patients.
Yeah.
It's not because of the skills that I do, or, like, caring for them medically. It's about that connection with that. And I feel like, to me, like, that's so sentimental, because, like, nursing, yeah, like, it is important to have the skills, but it's just as important to connect with your patients and to be able to have those conversations and just being able to meet them where they are, aside from, like, the medical aspect of things too.
Yeah, Mike and I always talk in lecture, like, it's so much more than the tasks and the skills.
Yeah.
But it's that one-on-one interactions, those connections that are made. That's how people trust you, and how they know that you're going to take the very best care for them.
Exactly.
Yes.
Awesome.
Thank you so much
Thank
for
you so much
meeting
for
with
meeting.
us
Absolutely.
and taking the time to come and drive here.
Absolutely.
And do this podcast.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. Like, again, it's such an honor to be here. The way that my journey started, I would not, like, think to be where I am today. And it's like I said, it's just an honor and a privilege to just be here.
Who will? Spartan Nurses will.